What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome into the CHGO Bulls Podcast. Happy Monday. I'm Peck. You can follow me on Twitter at Bulls_Peck. Joined by my guys, Big Dave, Bow, BAWL Sports, and Will, the GOAT, Gottlieb, Will_Gottlieb. You can follow us on Twitter at CHGO_Bulls. Our pal producer, Lawrence, on the controls, behind the scenes. Maybe he'll pop up. We don't know. There he is.
You know he's popping up.
Yeah, you know
he's popping up.
Come on.
Lots to get to on today's show. NBA Finals Game 5 is tonight. We will take a look at that matchup. Can the Heat keep this series going? Plus, big news on the NBA free agency. Fred VanVleet, officially today, word dropped that he will decline his player option with the Toronto Raptors and become an unrestricted free agent. Is there a world in which the Bulls can swing a sign and trade deal to bring that Rockford, Illinois native home to wear a Bulls jersey? We'll talk about that. And we'll start off with some interesting news on the Bulls coaching staff front that broke over the weekend. All that ahead on today's show. But first, gentlemen, how we doing? How was everyone's weekend? Will, did you hit the links?
No links for me this weekend. What did I do this weekend? I don't really know. I think I was just like thinking of Bulls fake trades all weekend. I was wrapped up in fanspo.com.
Didn't get enough of it with Mark on Friday?
There's never enough fake trades out there. There's something wrong with you guys.
I noticed that you added it to your Twitter bio. Or has that been there for a while? The whole like fake trades maker.
Oh, you know. Oh, you know.
That's not an answer.
I don't know what that means. Yeah, I don't know what that means.
It's been there. It's new. Who knows? It's always been true, regardless.
Okay. It's a woozy. It's a wazi.
It's a woozy. It's a wazi.
Mm-hmm. You gonna bring it up, Lawrence?
Yeah, see, fake tradesmith.
Fake tradesmith.
There.
Yeah.
I just noticed that today. So I don't know. Maybe it's been there for a while. Maybe it hasn't. But I just noticed it today.
Tradesmith? That's a new. I've never heard tradesmith.
A tradesmith.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
That's
like a
good.
blacksmith, but with
it.
NBA trades.
Yeah, I get it. I just have never heard it before. That's pretty good, man.
Thank you.
Well done.
I mean, it's not point guardsmanship, but it's
not point guardsmanship, but it's like the version of it's the fake trade of point guardsmen's.
You're gonna need a graphic for that now. Like I'm gonna need to see Joey make you a graphic of a tradesmith of you. You know, like in a place where you're hammering out trades, literally. You know what I'm saying? With a hammer, you got your apron on and everything, and sparks are flying. Like
it's
yeah,
that Charlie Day mailroom meme where I'm just like concocting 18 fake trades and I'm like losing my mind.
Dude, that would be
like
funny.
9 hours in, 4 o'clock in the morning.
That.
I'm just going.
Yeah.
I don't know if Joey's got time to make that graphic. I'm pretty sure he's in the middle of a water balloon fight.
He's got better things going
right
on.
now.
No, he got stuff. He can do that.
Before we dive into today's stuff, quick reminder, our Father's Day sale still going on in that CHGO merch locker. Today, Monday the 12th, is your last day to get your order in to ensure delivery on time for Father's Day. But the sale itself runs all the way through Father's Day, June 18th. Buy one, get one, 50% off all shirts in our CHGO merch locker. Be sure to take advantage of that. And, of course, while we're reminding you of things, there's that reminder for the Father's Day sale. We also are heading to Vegas. In less than a month, we will be in Las Vegas for the NBA Summer League action. And this year, you can hang out with us and come with us if you want to. We are offering up on our website. You can find the link there under CHGO Road Trips at allchgo.com. A 3-night stay at Planet Hollywood plus an all-inclusive happy hour event. And it's to 2 Summer League games. So if you've always wondered and wanted about going out to Vegas to catch the Summer League action, see what it's all about, come hang out with us because we're going to be there. And we've got a really cool offer available for y'all right now to come join us and be a part of the Summer League action. Less than a month. Are you guys excited? I'm getting really excited about Summer League. Even though we sit a little over a week away from the NBA draft and the Bulls currently have 0 draft picks, I'm still excited to go to Summer League.
I was about to say, if they have a new player that will be playing in Summer League, I'd be a lot more excited, but alas.
Oh, no,
well, if Dalen's playing, I know Dave's excited.
You damn Skippy. I want to see Dalen Terry. I want to see my man Lewis. I want to see Justin Lewis. I want to see these guys get out there.
I don't know, Dave. I hate to introduce this skepticism, but I'm not sure
No, you
Justin
don't.
Lewis is fully. No, I do, because I would love to see him too. I'm not sure he's fully cleared from his ACL recovery, so
Okay,
we may or
that's
may
fair.
not see him yet. I'll have to
Well,
do some
Dalen
digging
will
on
take
that.
it off. I got Dalen, so I'll be okay.
We will have Dalen. We'll have lots of
got that.
Dalen.
I'm with it. I'm with
All
it.
of the Dalen.
All of the Dalen. Give me all of the Dalen.
Big news for the Bulls over the weekend. News that maybe made a lot of Bulls fans happy. I heard a lot of Bulls fans on Twitter using the phrase "finally something to that effect." The Bulls, this news broke from Casey Johnson of NBC Sports Chicago over the weekend, have hired Peter Patton to join their coaching staff in player development. Patton has worked as a shooting coach for both the Minnesota Timberwolves and Dallas Mavericks, worked a lot exclusively with both Luka Doncic and Jalen Brunson in recent years in Dallas. And so expected title will be Director of Player Development, but his focus is being a shooting coach. And how many times have we heard Bulls fans cry out over the last few years, while we see them be the lowest three-point shooting team in the league, can we get a goddamn shooting coach, please, for the love of God? Here it is. And not only that, it is a Chicago guy. Peter Patton played high school ball at Loyola Academy, then went on to play college ball at DePaul, and he's come back home working for the Bulls. Player development, shooting coach. Gentlemen, how do we feel about this?
Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, I mean, yeah, finally, like they've been saying, like that's what it is. Yeah, you got a shooting coach. Yeah, you're doing something that every NBA team does. Welcome to the 20th century, not even the 21st. Yeah, man, like this was necessary. They needed to get one. The Bulls, terrible shooting team. We all know this, and you needed help there in that department. So bring in someone who has a track record and also with ties to Chicago, because I know the Bulls always find that important, as to bring in people who have ties to the city, whether they have it to the team or whether they just have it to the city. They like bringing those kind of guys in. Yeah, like it's a good move. It's a better late than never move. Like this should have been done a while ago, even before AK was here. This should have been done, but it's here now, and I guess we'll see what it looks like as the season goes forward.
100% agree. And I think, the Bulls have had development coaches. Like that's just a part of every NBA staff, and the Bulls are no exception there. So they've had guys working on development, but I'm not sure that they've ever had, or at least in the past few years, somebody who was specifically dedicated to shooting. We've seen that AK has sort of prioritized tools and athleticism in the draft. Patrick and Dalen Terry and Io, guys that aren't necessarily or weren't necessarily considered to be knockdown shooters. He's also brought in guys like Javante and Derek Jones, who we know do not specialize in that aspect of the game. And it brings me back to what AK said at his exit interview, which is like, we have guys that we feel we can develop into shooters. And to me, this is like the first step in doing that. And you're absolutely right, Dave. Like this should have happened a long time ago. It's happening now. My only point of cynicism, or I don't know, just the downer in me feels like maybe this is an excuse that they're not actually going to bring in any shooters, because now they feel like they've got a shooting coach who can develop guys internally. And I think that would be disappointing, but at least hopefully they can improve a little bit. So obviously it's good news from a player development perspective. The Bulls need this. Their young players need this, but I don't think this excuses them from also bringing in shooters on the free agent market.
I saw some amusing comments coming in from people watching along on YouTube. Dupe said, the Bulls finally hiring a shooting coach in 2023 has serious mom and pop shop finally hire an accountant energy. Somebody else said, welcome to the 21st century, Bulls. Yeah, Matt, with a funny comment there. That's kind of how this feels. And so Casey said that the expected title for him will be Director of Player Development. And that kind of made me raise an eyebrow, because I was like, wait, I know that when AK and Eversley came in, they built out a bit more of a player development program along with their coaching staff that was not here when they arrived. And I was like, wait, are you telling me that they don't have, quote unquote, a director of player development currently? And if so, why the hell not? And so I went and I looked at the Bulls staff directory this morning, and they have plenty of people listed with the phrase player development in their title, none of whom are director of player development. The manager of team services and player development is Shakin Al-Brow. There is a player development specialist named Martin Rancic, and there are several player development coordinators: Ty Abbott, Brad Burgess, Amadou Mboji, Jordan Ash, Logan Power. But to my surprise, no one is the quote-unquote director of player personnel, or player development, rather. I don't really care about that. It's an interesting quirk of semantics to see that they don't have one on their staff directory yet. All I care about is if this guy can help Bulls players learn how to shoot better, particularly become more lethal three-point shooters, because I agree with you, Will. We had a laugh about it before we went live. That was my first thought when I saw this. It's like, oh, Bulls finally hire a shooting coach. Half a second later, this means this is their way to explain to Bulls fans at Media Day why they didn't sign any three-point shooters or add any to their roster in any way. It's okay. We'll just teach the guys who are already here how to shoot. It's a cynical way to look at it, and I'm not saying that's absolutely what's going to happen, but I would not be surprised if it is.
I also think, there is no salary cap for front office and coaching staff. Like, you can invest as many resources, as much manpower into your front office and coaching staff as you want. And so in this world where the new CBA is very restrictive on the amount you can spend on your roster and free agency, is very restrictive in terms of how many draft picks you're able to trade out in the future. If you are, a very heavy spending team, you have to find ways to put yourself in a position to take advantage of certain aspects of the game. And I think like investing in coaching staff and data analytics in front office, like this is how you develop your roster. There's no, like I said, there's no salary cap that prevents you from just loading up on training staff or sports science or data. This is how I think you can make a difference in this new era with this new CBA. So hopefully this is not the last addition to the staff, but it's certainly a good start.
Yeah, it's a good start, and it's a common sense start for the team. Like I said, every team in the league, I'm pretty sure, has a shooting coach, and it's wild that the Bulls went this long without one, but you can't really point to, those incredible shooters over the history of the Chicago Bulls either. When you see like Kirk Heinrich is like the greatest three-point shooter in Bulls history, and just looking at him on the landscape as far as the NBA, he's okay. He's he's an all right guy. So yeah, like it's necessary. You need it in today's NBA. It would have been nicer to have years ago, but honestly, I don't feel like dwelling on that anymore. You got to move forward with this. This is exactly the move you're supposed to make. I think your cynicism on this is grounded in some kind of truth as far as getting this and not making any moves to get anyone else. You definitely have history on your side as far as looking at that. Like, yeah, this is the kind of thing that the Bulls might do. I don't think they'll do that, but it does make it hilarious to even kind of think that way for sure. Comedically, I like, yeah, that's kind of funny that they would do that and did not sign anyone. But this is what you're supposed to do. This is what was the complaint. This is what was maddening. This is why we sat here upset at AK. Like, what the hell are you looking at? Talking about you got shooters on this team. It felt like he said that and then looked around and said, send these guys to the shooting coach. And they were like, we don't have a shooting coach. Okay, what? Oh shit! Like,
well,
oh
like we talked to Billy about this at some point during the season with regards to Dalen, and he was like talking about spending a lot of time with Dalen on his shooting. And it's like, Billy, I'm sure you are a good shooting coach. Like, you're the head coach of an NBA team. I'm sure you can develop guys, but like, you've got bigger stuff to worry about. Like, you got game planning to do for tonight's game. Like, you can't be just sitting there working with Dalen for 3 hours after practice. Like, I'm sure that's great, and it's an important thing to build their relationship, but you have to delegate in an NBA front office. And I think, like, you're right. I mean, this is step one. It's something that they should have probably had a while ago. And like I said, they have guys that have been working with players, but I'm not sure that they had like, a 55%
Specialist.
college 3-point shooting specialist who's kind of known
correct.
for that. And the other piece that I don't remember if you mentioned this or not, so I'll repeat it if not, but like he sort of learned from Chip England, who is like perhaps the most well-known, well-regarded shooting coach in like NBA history. He worked with the Spurs for a really long time, developed a lot of their players down there, now working with OKC. And so getting somebody from that tree, that coaching tree, I think is a really big step too. So like I said, the Bulls have no excuses to still bring in talent, especially sharpshooting specialist talent. But, they also have an obligation to develop the players that they've taken that they're trying to grow internally. And this is how you do that. I mean, this is the path. So it's
this is the
like
way.
this is the way.
And yeah, there was another tidbit in Casey's report about this, mentioning Chip England, that I was not aware of, and it simultaneously made me feel a little, pang of pleasant nostalgia, and then also made me roll my eyes, because one of his first pupils of being a shooting coach, that being Chip England, was Steve Kerr. Was Steve Kerr when he was playing for the Chicago Bulls. We all know how great of a 3-point specialist Steve Kerr was. And I love that, because I was like, oh, the Bulls just hired a shooting coach who got coached by a shooting coach who coached Steve Kerr. That's really cool. But at the same time, I was like, God, that's so Bulls. Oh, yeah, let's bring back people who are in some way related to the 90s dynasty. But we brought Chip Schaefer back as our head athletic trainer, for crying out loud. Like, why must we always do this?
You refuse. Refuse. This is the right move, man. This is the guy you bring in. You need a specialist. This team is full of players who are missing out on millions of dollars simply because they don't have a 3-point shot. And Javonte Green is that. I remember last year we talked about player grades, and we were doing Javonte Green, and mine was you're a 3-pointer away from millions. Like, that's all he needed was a 3-point shot. Still, Ayo Dosunmu, he gets a 3 millions. Kobe White, more millions. He gets a 3 that's what's the word? Consistent and super dependable all the time. Yeah, like they have so many guards and so many wings who just can't shoot the 3 at a consistent level, that if you did that, not only do you improve your team, they improve themselves and they improve their life as far as the money that they can make in this league. So I hope they look at it that way. I really do. I'm talking about players and the team. I hope they look at it that way. Like, not only can you improve the team, you can improve your life at the same time.
All right, so there's that news. Welcome to the Chicago Bulls, Peter Patton. Please teach some people how to shoot this summer. I beg
Talk
of
to
you.
Will. Sit down with Will Gottlieb one time, Peter. Have a conversation.
There you go.
Sit down.
Absolutely. All right, let's take our first break. When we come back, we'll dive into this news about Fred VanVleet becoming a free agent this summer and speculate if it's at all possible for the Bulls to put together a sign and trade deal to bring VanVleet to the Bulls. While we are sharing words from our friends and sponsors, do a simple favor. Hit that thumbs up button, the like button, right there underneath the video. If you're watching along on YouTube, helps us out a lot. And if you aren't already, make sure you subscribe to our CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Dave, who do we have first?
Well, I heard from Baby Joey over the weekend.
Where is he now?
Today, he was in Seattle. He was in Seattle over the weekend. Yeah,
hanging out with Dr. Fraser Crane, Dr. Niles Crane.
No, not this time. This time he was there because he was at the Sue Bird's retirement ceremony. And he was checking that out, and he was like
hanging out with Megan Rapinoe.
Yeah. He was doing that. He said it was a straight shot for him from there to Denver. So he was just, making the rounds that way. So I guess he's en route to Denver. I asked him, was he flying or was he driving? And he said yes. So I don't know what that means. Baby Joey just very cryptic. But then I said,
flying
well, man,
car.
if you drive.
That's what that means.
Yeah. Hey, man, trust me, boy, the connections Baby Joey got, listen, I won't put it past him. But when I asked him, man, I was like, but dude, did you bring your glasses with you? And he said, damn it, I forgot them. I left them in Seattle while he was on the road. But he said it's okay because they wasn't shady and because they never understood. And that's why he left them there, because he said they simply never understood. He don't get it, y'all. Baby Joey just don't understand why you got to pay this much money to look so damn cool. wear some premium polarized shades on his face. Why does he have to pay so much money to do it? Guess what? Shady Rays says you don't have to. Shady Rays, that independent sunglasses company, offers that world-class product. Yeah, it gives you a pair of glasses that's just as good as any expensive pair you have ever put on your beautiful, wonderful face. Those durable frames, those extremely clear optics for those outdoor, and as Matt Peck is over there proving to you right now, those indoor adventures. But that's not all. Shady Rays has the Matt Peck lost and broken replacements plan. That means if he tosses that hat, and it goes flying, and those glasses on there, and he throws it against the wall, smash. He's angry, and now he's upset because he broke a pair of premium polarized shades. But then he remembered he could send that right back into Shady Rays. They will send him a brand new pair, no questions asked. And let's say you saw the GOAT out there on the links. You saw the GOAT out there on the beach. You saw the GOAT out there on the beat, rocking the Shady Rays on his face. And you said, damn, I could look that cool. And then in 3 seconds, when you put them on, you realize you cannot, because you are not the GOAT. But you can get a pair that fits your face just for you. You can send it at those frames and get you a frame sent in to you, sir. As long as you do it within 30 days, you can get your pair of frames that fits yourself. No questions asked, y'all. They got your back, and there is no risk when you shop. So Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to ShadyRays.com. Use that promo code CHGO. Get yourself 50% off of 2+ pairs of premium polarized shades. And try for yourself the shades that are rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people, including our guy Lawrence. Because the Shady Rays, the Rays are oh so shady.
When you said Will rocking his shades on the beat, I had a great mental image of Will just like being like a post-game press conference with a pair of Shady Rays on. You're like, hi, Will the Goat Gottlieb, CHGO.
That's right.
Billy.
Snatches them off for dramatic effect.
First time you talk to Peter Patton, Will, you gotta have your Shady Rays on, just so he knows that you're the coolest person.
Yeah, that's called the first impression.
That's right.
Exactly. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at ComEd, whose energy efficiency program is committed to helping families and businesses in the communities they serve, helping manage energy usage and lower energy bills now and into the future. ComEd offers a wide variety of incentives on lighting and other efficiency upgrades to commercial, industrial, and public sector customers of all sizes across their territory. ComEd also offers free facility assessments that can help find energy savings opportunities, like for HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, and industrial processes. Now, Will, you're probably asking yourself, how does it work, Matt?
How does it work, Matt?
I tell you, an authorized engineer works with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and your needs. These can be done in person or virtually and last approximately 2 hours. Then, within 3 to 4 weeks, customers will receive a report detailing energy efficiency projects they can start working on right away. Each recommendation includes estimated energy savings, cost savings, project costs, potential incentives, and simple payback plans. If you own a business, good for you. Don't wait. Get started saving money and energy today. For energy saving tips, lighting incentives, or to schedule your free facility assessment, go to ComEd.com/poweringbiz.
Wait a second.
Did you need that one more time, Will?
I need that one more time. Is that ComEd.com/poweringbiz?
That's correct. ComEd.com/poweringbiz, B-I-Z-biz. Schedule your appointment today. All righty. Let's dive right in. Big news today, about 2 o'clock Chicago time. Woj dropped this bomb. Fred VanVleet declining his player option with the Toronto Raptors and will become an unrestricted free agent this summer. That player option for $22.8 million. VanVleet looking for a longer contract with more money on the open market this summer. Of course, Bulls fans will have only one thing in mind, and that's, is there a way? Is there a way the Bulls can make some sort of sign and trade deal now that he's hitting the open market to bring VanVleet to Chicago, this team that does not appear to have Lonzo Ball and his services available anytime soon? And interestingly enough, Will, you believe that for the purposes of constructing a sign and trade between the Bulls and Raptors to get VanVleet here, Lonzo Ball is probably involved in that deal.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it last week a couple of times. The Bulls don't have space to be able to go out and just absorb a free agent into their cap. So in order to make this work, they would have to pull off a sign and trade. Had VanVleet just opted into the final year of his contract, it would have just been a normal trade. But at this point, he's probably going to either sign a new deal with the Raptors or find a new home, whether he goes into a team's cap space. We've talked about the teams that have cap space. None of them are very good. We're talking Magic, Spurs, Rockets, teams like that who just have a lot of room to be able to go and sign someone. Or the Raptors negotiate a sign and trade where they re-sign and then ship VanVleet out, taking an asset back the way that the Bulls did with Lonzo Ball and DeMar DeRozan and Lauri Markkanen. So I think if the Bulls were to do this, it would have to require Lonzo's money. I mean, he's opting out of almost $23 million this year, which means he either wants a lot more money or a lot longer of a contract or both, and probably both is the answer. So you're looking at like $25-30 million a year. You got to match that somehow. You're not putting, Zach or DeMar or Vooch on the table for VanVleet, because at that point, like, why would you go out and get VanVleet? Which means it's got to be Lonzo. And in order to take in Lonzo's $20 million of effectively dead money, you've got to attach assets. So you're looking at Patrick or Dalen Terry, depending on how much, or both, depending on how much VanVleet wants to sign for. And, you also probably have to throw in a pick. Maybe it's the Blazers pick. Maybe it's a protected pick in 2027, which is the Bulls' first available pick that they're able to trade of their own. And to me, that's just a lot for a guy who's entering his age 30 season, who's played more minutes than just about anybody in the league over the last few years. Yes, he fills a huge hole in the Bulls at point guard. It would be a good way to sort of pivot off of the Lonzo contract. But I would say for me, like, reinvesting and, putting more assets into this group that we've kind of talked about is clearly has a ceiling. Yes, VanVleet, I think, would make them better, but to me, it's kind of missing the point a little bit.
I love when this stuff happens in off season, because in season, you're speaking more from your heart than you are from logic. And I think a lot of things people wanted VanVleet. I heard a lot of bring me Fred VanVleet, because I was part of that too. Like, that would be a great move to get Fred VanVleet on this team. That would be amazing. Trade anybody. I'll send you the GOAT and some of my hair. Like, give me that dude on this squad. Like, this would just be perfect. And then when the season ends, and then you just think back, you're like, okay, he was injured a lot. He shot his lowest 3-point percentage that I think he shot in his career last season. What did he play, like 68, 69 games? I don't think he's played
69 games.
Yeah, he hasn't played that many since like year 2, since he's been in the league. So, and he, like you said, Will, he's entering that age 30. He'll be 29, but yeah, that's entering age 30. Like, that's what you're walking into. He didn't give up. Excuse me. He didn't give up the $22 million to not get more money in more years. Okay, so he's going to get paid. He wants his check. That's exactly what he's looking at. And so for the Bulls to give up those assets, I look at it now and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. And it's not Lonzo. That's not who I mean. Just extras. Like, I definitely don't want to give up Patrick Williams. For one reason, I don't want to send another tall wing to Toronto. I just don't want to do that. But I don't want to give, how I feel about Dalen. That's just more of a passion thing that I don't want to give him up. Of course, I would trade him if the right thing comes along. Absolutely. But I don't want to. You're right. VanVleet, I just see where he fits. He fits perfectly for the Bulls. And also, please note, like Will stated, there's no anything happening if you get VanVleet on this team. They're running everything back. Period. Point blank. Everything is getting run back. So I know where he fits, and I see it. Defensively, it's not good because he's not a great defender. It's not what he does. But offensively, man, the pick and rolls he can run with Vooch. You can look at the numbers that he runs pick and roll as far as what he did in Toronto. They're really ridiculous. So imagine that with a guy like Vooch, when that's, his bread and butter. Like, he and Zach were one of the top duos at running pick and roll. this past season. Like, they were one of the best 2-man guys out there. So imagine that with another dude that's what he does in Fred VanVleet. You also get another guy who can hit the catch and shoot three, another guy who can actually create his own shot, a guy who gets you like 7 assists a game. These are all things that the Bulls were lacking offensively. Hurt you defensively, definitely. And I don't know what his health is like, so I don't know if you want to spend on another point guard whose health is iffy and questionable. But it gives you that dog. It gives you that dude, because he is definitely that kind of guy. But I just don't know if I want to spend that kind of money on a guy on the wrong side of that 30 who hasn't shown me superstar potential yet. I felt differently about DeMar, because DeMar, I'd seen him be a for real almost superstar in this league. So I was like, I felt like he was due to do something really incredible with the Chicago Bulls. Whereas I feel like VanVleet can give you maybe a year or two, and then I don't know after that. But he's worth it. You get VanVleet, it's worth it. Whoever lines up with him, I think, like you said, even Will stated to you, you become a better basketball team immediately with Fred VanVleet on your squad. You definitely become down the Chicago Bulls. It's their biggest gaping, glaring hole is that point guard outside of three-point shooting, is that point guard. They don't have one. He would fill it. I just don't know if I would give up all that to get him. I just don't know. I don't know.
I'm curious how the fan base would feel with these two scenarios. And Will, I know you're on the record saying that what's in this team's best interest right now is to trade this big trio and start over and collect assets and go younger. I think a lot of people agree with you. I think for the most part, I agree with you. Assuming that they don't want to do that and that they don't plan to do that, would you rather team next season and beyond where bringing Kobe White back and giving him another shot as this team's starting point guard, or making this big swing to bring Fred VanVleet to the Bulls, but also in doing so, giving up more either young talent / future draft capital, whether it's Dalen and or Patrick Williams, and more future draft capital? Which one of those two, assuming that blow it up is completely out of the question, is a more fruitful path forward and a more interesting path forward?
So I guess like the way you have to look at it is, and I think I should do a better job of sort of redirecting the conversation around that, because I agree that like the blow it up path is super unlikely. And so rather than just like saying, well, no, they should blow it up. Well, no, they should blow it up. Well, no, they should blow it up. We should be thinking about like things that they can do to retool around the current group. So I guess the question is, to your point, is there a world where they could do this without giving up Patrick or Kobe, or maybe just giving up Kobe instead and keeping Patrick? So like Lonzo and Kobe sign and trade for VanVleet, and maybe the Bulls throw in that Blazers pick, or maybe it's around DeMar and you retool with VanVleet, Levine, and Vooch. I think that could be interesting. I think the fit might be a little bit better. You obviously add a ton of 3-point shooting, but then you're even smaller. You don't have any wings on the roster, and you need to replace them somehow. You're also locked into what would likely be, 4 years of VanVleet, 4 more years of Levine, and 3 more years of Vooch, which makes it difficult to go out and make any more changes longer term. So again, to me, we all know how I feel about, what's in the best interest of this team. I understand the retool method, and if you can find the right guys to do that, that would be good. I like VanVleet. I think he's a really good player and would help you. And this idea of like VanVleet, Levine, and Vooch would be interesting. But I still don't know, like, what is the ceiling of that group? Like, I think, and then there's the larger question of like, what does his departure from the Raptors mean for the rest of the East? So, for example, if he goes to Orlando, maybe the Raptors fall out of the play-in area, but Orlando jumps in, or same Detroit, or whatever it is. So I think the Bulls have to kind of consider the rest of the landscape as well. But to this point, it seems like they're kind of focused on who they are and what they can control. And I think that's, maybe a little bit narrow-minded, just in terms of like, you have to measure yourself against the rest of the league, because otherwise like you're just kind of operating in a vacuum, and the NBA isn't a vacuum. So I think that would be interesting to try to, maybe DeMar wants to go back to the Raptors and they do sort of a reunion for a year, and it's DeMar and Kobe for VanVleet. And the Bulls are still stuck on Lonzo's contract. That could be something. I don't know that really like makes you all that much better longer term. But while I think Lonzo and that contract is probably the most likely, there are some alternative pathways that could, I think, be maybe a little bit better of a fit. But again, then you're just locking yourself into this older group longer term. And I wonder what that says about like the Bulls' ceiling over the next 3, 4, 5 years.
Well, it also will answer the question what they feel about, for me, are they ready to build around Zach LaVine? Because that's what I'm ready to do. I'm ready to just build around Zach and give him whatever he needs. And what we've seen is when Zach LaVine has a legit point guard around him, he's ridiculous. Like, and it's necessary, not just the team, but just Zach LaVine. He's better, not without having to control the ball, with him just moving and doing what he does best. So,
and Lonzo not just being a point guard, but a lethal catch and shoot threat next to Zach LaVine, which is what Fred VanVleet could also be.
And that's two of them right there, Matt. Exactly. So you've got Zach LaVine, who we know is lethal from that, and you've got Fred VanVleet. Like we see the positive. We know that, you know what I'm saying? The positive of Fred VanVleet and what he can bring to this Bulls team. In person, if they did it, I would love it because I know I'm in for some good basketball. I get it. What Will and correctly and what he's feeling is, dude, like how long? How long do you think this is gonna last? How long do you think this is gonna go down? So it could work for a year. And how high is the ceiling if it works for a year? Is it another first round exit for this team? Is it just the fact that instead of 5 games, you go out in 7 games? You know, where is that growth to you?
Is it instead of making the play and you actually make the playoffs? Because like they need to get to that step first.
Exactly. That's a step they have to cover. Right. And so it depends on what you're looking at. What is the Bulls' feeling of what their season is, or ceiling, I should say, what their ceiling is. Is it making it to the second round? Is it just getting home court in the first round? Like, I don't know what their ceiling is. They want to be competitive. That's what I know. They want to be competitive and they want to go to the playoffs. This is what I know that they want to do. But when you make a move like that, you got to be thinking beyond that, right? You got to be thinking a little more than that when you getting a guy like Fred VanVleet, because you're bringing in Fred VanVleet, that's a I'm ready to win move. That is what that is. Even if you go to Orlando, that's a we're ready to win, period. That's exactly what Fred VanVleet is. He's not a guy bringing in when you're ready for play-in or you still like, I got to get one more thing here. No, bro, he is the thing. That's the guy. So you get him, you're ready to move forward and do something. And you can do it this year, but again, like you said, the question is, what's the ceiling and for how long?
And you also have to think about
go ahead,
the money you're going to invest. I mean, Zach's making $40+ million. It sounds like VanVleet's going to be in the $30 million range. Yeah. DeRozan's $30 million. Vooch is going to be in the $20 to $22 million range. Caruso and Patrick are both at 10 right now, but will eventually need raises. So this is going to be an expensive group that, like you said, Dave, may not have much of a ceiling. I understand the desire to be competitive. And I think even with the group that they have, they will remain competitive to the extent that like they are going to compete for the 8th seed. And maybe that's enough. And if that's the case, then VanVleet would definitely help. But I just don't see this as like a sustainable build for the future thing. But that's how I would operate, not necessarily how the Bulls would operate. So I do think like this season and next season, VanVleet certainly helps them, and he fills a lot of needs that the Bulls have. He can help organize, he can shoot, he can defend in a couple of different kinds of schemes. I think his steal numbers are a little inflated just because of the way that the Raptors are kind of like frenetic defensives all over the place, trying to jump passing lanes and stuff. So maybe that dies down a little bit. He's sturdy and can kind of switch up, so that maybe helps them a little bit. But again, really small team. I do think, this is maybe a larger conversation of what do you do with Lonzo if you're not going to try to improve around him, or it becomes too hard financially? Are we at the point now where you want to waive and stretch him? Do you try to dump an asset with him to get off that money? So I think that's another piece of the conversation that they need to start thinking about. So ultimately, like if the goal is to try to win 45 games, I think VanVleet helps you get there. It's a matter of the cost and what your goals are longer term that I'm more curious about.
On the point of Lonzo and including him as a salary match / dump and attaching incentive assets to him, it makes you wonder about the Bulls getting involved in a bidding war in a sign and trade for teams that want VanVleet this summer. Because, you mentioned earlier Orlando, Detroit, when you were speaking, Will, about teams that could just like have the money to sign VanVleet outright. Woj made note of the fact that, look, it doesn't have to be a team with cap space. A lot of teams that have no cap space can go after the VanVleet by offering the Raptors various sign and trade kind of deals. And how would the Bulls one measure up? If it's take Lonzo off our hands, here's a young player, here's some draft capital, is that the best offer that the Raptors are going to get? There was some other context that came out between the Woj report and also Mark Stein on his Daily Dime that I was reading this morning. He mentioned that Houston Rockets have been linked to Fred VanVleet, and that might be something that VanVleet is interested in going to, joining that young team with a lot of young talent, bursting with potential. And then the other interesting thing that I noted from Woj was that he said at the trade deadline of this season, that's just wrapping up in the finals right now, multiple teams called the Raptors about VanVleet for a deadline trade. He stayed in Toronto, but multiple teams called. And I had a thought that was, I wonder if the Bulls were one of those teams and we just never heard about it. Because what did AK say when he did his deadline day press conference? He said, we came into the deadline, action as buyers, looking to be buyers to bolster our roster and make it better. The price of being buyers for what we were looking at and what we were interested in was too high. So we did nothing. I have no evidence to back that up. I just had that thought that was like, man, I wonder if the Bulls were calling Toronto about VanVleet, because as they were nearing the deadline, they figured out Lonzo ain't coming back. So how do we do this? And if the Bulls were one of those teams that called Toronto about VanVleet at the deadline, if they will call them again and how that offer will measure up.
I think it's a possibility. I mean, the Bulls seem to have been doing their due diligence in the sense that they were looking around for ways to make themselves better. I saw somewhere, and I can't remember if it's like a substantiated source, but the offers that Toronto was getting weren't that, exciting to them. It was like Grayson Allen and a late pick, or Luke Kennard and a pick, or something like that. So not something that they would necessarily entertain for a guy like that. Now, does that mean that they were willing to let him go for nothing? Probably not. I mean, maybe he just goes back. Maybe he just signs a longer extension with Toronto, gets more money, gets more security, and stays home. So I wonder if that's on the table. Like, I think the Raptors have been an interesting case study in like, won't they blow it up? And they've got a ton of guys that they could presumably get a lot for. But part of that is what kind of contract they're on. And I keep seeing this question in the comments from Adrian about DeJounte Murray. That's another example of a guy who a lot of his value is attached to him being on a cheap deal, like a bargain deal. And when that comes up, and I believe this is going to be the last year of his contract, and because of the way that the extension rules work, he's going to go into free agency. He's not going to re-sign an extension. Like, maybe his deal becomes a little bit easier to buy. Whereas last summer, when the Spurs traded him to Atlanta, it was, you had 2 years on this bargain deal to try to make something work. Now that VanVleet and OG Anunoby are probably going to be signing for a lot more money, they become a little bit less attractive of trade targets for teams. I do think the expiring deal is becoming less valuable, less interesting to teams in this current NBA. They want longer term security, but if that number is too high, then teams aren't going to want to go after it. So all that to say, I'm not sure the Bulls can beat out what offers teams might throw at the Raptors in a sign and trade. If it's anything like the contracts or the offers that were being tossed around at the deadline, then maybe they have a chance. But now that VanVleet could be secured longer term, teams might be able to, the Raptors might be able to get a little bit more for him.
Will, can I ask you quick, what team do you think monetarily fits VanVleet the best?
I think one of the cap space teams makes sense. Like, Orlando kind of needs a point guard to organize some of what's going on there. If Houston swings and misses on James Harden, they could bring in VanVleet and then, pile some assets and young players together to go sign another guy and maybe kickstart things that way. Philly makes a lot of sense to me, going to work with Nick Nurse again if they lose Harden to the Rockets. So I think there are plenty of teams that would be interested. I know the Clippers were after him, the Bucks were after him. We're not sure, what kind of deals are out there because the money is difficult. And again, with this new collective bargaining agreement, the more teams have on their payroll, the harder it is going to be to consolidate and aggregate salaries to go out and trade for a guy, especially after next year when the second apron kicks in. So it is going to be one of the last times that these teams that are just super spenders are going to be able to go and get guys, which is another reason why I feel like now this summer is going to have a lot of movement and it could be an opportunity for the Bulls to make some trades with other teams. But all that to say, I'm sure there are going to be a lot of teams that are really interested in VanVleet. I think there will be somewhat of a bidding war, and it would not surprise me if it's either a team that's trying to go, that's one move away, which is what you were talking about earlier. But it also wouldn't surprise me if it's like one of these younger cap space teams like the Magic or the Rockets who want to sort of get a leader, get a organizing point guard in there to try to set them up longer term.
All right, we got to take one more quick break. We'll come back to wrap up with a few thoughts on the NBA Finals, which continue tonight. Game 5 in Denver, 7:30 Chicago time, tip-off. While we're doing that, hit us a thumbs up. We'd appreciate it. It takes you not even a second, just like Vooch there. Give us 2 thumbs up. Big Dave, who do we got?
So you should go here to get fitted out in the best sports gear around. And that place, ladies and gentlemen, is the FOCO, FOCO. Why? Because they got hoodies. What else? They got shoes. Anything else? They got signs, bobbleheads, and everything in betwixt. It's spring and it's baseball season. And all my White Sox are looking so good all the way up until yesterday when they were up 5-1 into the ninth. Lost the game. Oh, my God. But it's okay. They're looking better. The AL Central is trash. We still got a shot. But it is also baseball season, so get your Aloha shirts, your straw hats, your polos, your bags, everything you're going to need for the game. And when we're on set and you can't get past looking at all of this awesomeness, look over the shoulder of it, stare at it, but then look over the shoulder of it and see what's going on as far as the set decorations, because FOCO has given us some awesome pieces for our sets to decorate it and look even more awesome for you guys. So show them love because they have shown us so much love as well. Check out FOCO.com or click the link in your description below for all non-presale items. Use the promo code CHGO and that will get you 10% off because it's FOCO. Faux show.
Another quick reminder, why not become a CHGO diehard if you haven't already? Now's a great time. The Bulls currently don't have a draft pick, but they might trade for one. And either way, if you're a Bulls fan, you're an NBA fan, you're probably hyped up for the draft next week. One of the many things that is a perk of being a CHGO diehard member is your access to that Will Gottlieb draft database available on the website right now for diehards and diehards only. Get ready for the NBA draft a week from Thursday. Plus, when you sign up to become a diehard, you get a free shirt. Pick a shirt, any shirt in that CHGO merch locker. Plus a care package with all sorts of awesome stickers, CHGO stickers, diehard stickers. You get a CHGO diehard membership card that you can probably whip out of your wallet anytime you want to prove to people how hard of a sports fan you are. Plus, every time you shop at the CHGO merch locker, you get 20% off your order. Plus discounts on our live events, our public events, the Bears tailgates, our CHGO virtual happy hour hangs. You get invited to those. And that members-only Discord, the CHGO Lounge. So there's a million reasons to become a diehard. If you haven't yet, if you're on the fence about it, why not give it a try and go check out that incredible draft database from Willie Gottlieb. AllCHGO.com/diehard. Shout out Bruce Willis.
Sorry,
Okay,
I'm gonna jump in, Matt Peck.
Okay.
A little earlier, you were talking about our fake tradesmith and the possible meme worthiness of it. And I know Joey's not here, but I am. So
here we go.
Yay! There we go. There we go.
Back there.
I don't know if that captures my level of insanity that I
I
have
agree
going on
with
in my
you.
head right now, but I do
completely
love it.
agree. Yeah, his
And I
hands
like
need to be flailing. You know what I mean? It needs to be more.
Yeah,
insanity
I
going
chose
on.
this screen cap. I wanted to make the Caruso in the background.
Yeah, I was about to say I love the Caruso. That did not go over my head.
Yeah. Well done, though. Well done, sir.
Yeah,
Oh,
I did what I
hilarious.
can.
I mean,
Beautiful stuff.
it's very unsettling though to see the Will to go Gottlieb Abbey over a person holding a cigarette, because you know that Will Gottlieb is not person putting
would
toxins in
never.
his body.
He
You
would
keep it
never.
clean, keep it pristine with the
No,
AG1.
I still
Oh.
think you should tweet that out from the CHGO
Yeah,
Sports account.
Draft
Trade season,
Will
baby.
is a different Will, man. I don't think you know this Will, bro. I've
Draft-
sat with him. I've done shows with him
Draft
last
Will
year. where
is
we were
him.
breaking down draft players, bro. He's a different person. This is a different human being, sir.
You say Draft Will is a bit more strung out than regular Will?
A little bit, man. A little bit.
All right, with our time remaining, let's talk NBA Finals. Game 5 tonight. Coming on the heels of a Nuggets win in Game 4, 108-95. They get both games in Miami to go up 3-1. Only one team has come back from down 3-1 to win an NBA Finals. That, of course, being the Cavs in 2016 against the Warriors. Will, you had the Nuggets in 5, and I believe after Miami took Game 2, you said wouldn't be surprised to see the Nuggets go to Miami and take 2. Dave, I believe you had Nuggets in 6. So I'll start with you. Are you surprised that the Nuggets went down to Miami and won both of those games?
No, not surprised. I'm proud of them. It's more than anything. I wasn't really surprised, honestly, that they did that. It was impressive. They had their finals moment in Game 4. Jokic goes out, with the 5 fouls. The Heat go on a nice run, make it 86-81. They take that timeout and oh man, it feels like they're reeling and the Heat are about to make that move. Jamal Murray hits a 3, splash. They get a stop, come back down, kicks it over. Jeff Green 3, splash. It was a moment. They had a moment because they looked together as soon as he went out. And then Bruce Brown just closed the door right in their face as well, man. No, I was impressed. I wasn't shocked or anything like that. I do have them in 6, so obviously I have the Heat winning this game tonight. I'm not going to be surprised if Denver pulls this one out. I'm actually rooting for Denver to pull this one out because I'm rolling with DNVR. So I hope they do pull it out for sure. I think it'd be an amazing, magical moment for them to do it right there in their hometown. That'd be really cool for them to do. But yeah, man, they had that moment. And again, Denver still hasn't played that game yet. They still have not done it. They haven't had that game. They had a quarter, but they haven't had that game where everything is just clicking. They've had one of those games the entire playoffs. They have one of those games in each series. They just had one game like that. It might come tonight, man. I just know if it clicks and they go, I don't care who they got out there, bro. It's going to be ugly.
Our guy Salim in the comments saying the Nuggets are just too good. Unfortunately, it ends for my boy Jimmy G tonight. As another member of the Jimmy G fan club, Will, do you think he can have a Herculean put the team on his back kind of night tonight to force this back to Miami, or do you think the Nuggets close it out?
Do I think he can? Yes, but I agree that it's just too overwhelming. The talent that the Nuggets have and the way that they're playing right now, even when the Heat are playing at their best, they're slightly better than the Nuggets who, aren't necessarily playing at their best. The shooting has just kind of fallen apart, and I think that's really taken the Heat out of it. And they feel like they're right there, but they lose by 15. It's how the first and the fourth or fifth game, whatever it was, that's how they went. So they just need to play perfect basketball. They did that in Game 2. It got them a win. But I just think that's it's so hard to do that, 3 more times in a row. And also just the Nuggets make it too difficult on you to do that, because if you miss a shot, you're playing from behind. The Nuggets offense is so good that you cannot have there's no room for error. So it's too bad. I do think that the season ends tonight. I think the Nuggets will win. But it also wouldn't surprise me if the Heat kind of muster up the strength to do one more. They just look so tired, they've just done so much to get to this point, and it seems like it's kind of catching up to them.
Yeah, they can't impose their will on this team. No pun intended, but they can't impose their will.
I was wondering to myself this morning, trying to get a grip on what will happen in tonight's game. Like, are there any Eric Spoelstra cards left to play
There's
that we
one.
haven't seen him play yet?
Mhm.
And then, interestingly, around midday today, there were reports from Shams and Woj that Tyler Hero, who has been out since game 1 against Milwaukee when he injured his hand, upgraded to questionable. And then in Woj's report, he said, quote, Tyler Hero expected to suit up and attempt a return. Would you guys throw Hero in there if Hero says to Spo and the coaching staff, let me try? Because I mean, like, Spo's run out of ideas. He switched his starting lineup around. He's put Kevin Love in there. He's benched Caleb Martin after Caleb Martin had a great run. He played Kyle Lowry, aging Kyle Lowry, 33 minutes off the bench in game 4. Like, do you throw him out there and just see if it is something that can help?
Yes. This is your
Absolutely.
season. Absolutely, you throw him out there. Even if he's bandaged up, I don't care. You put him out there. This is all it. They throw Haslam out there. Whoever you throw, everybody out there, dog. Like, this is all you got. This is it. This is the last game.
You realize the Nuggets offense is going to pick Hero apart, though. They are going to pick on Tyler Hero every possession down the floor where he's playing defense.
You have to try. You cannot just not empty the clip, as they say. You got to leave that out there on the floor, to borrow one of them terrible cliches. You got to leave everything out there on the floor for this, man. This is the NBA Finals, bro. Like, what else you here for?
It's also like backs against the wall, you know, like I fully expect Jimmy and Bam to play at least 46, if not 48 minutes tonight.
Right. Yeah.
And if that's the case, Jimmy, first of all, like, I don't think it's been talked enough about that. Like, not only is Jimmy the driver of Miami's offense, he's literally guarding Jamal Murray for 40 plus minutes a night. And like the amount of energy and focus and like just stamina that takes is outrageous. And I just don't think anybody has really noted that. But if that's the case and Jimmy's going to be chasing Murray around all night, they need somebody to try to like juice up the offense and like create something so that he's not just carrying the entire load for 48 minutes. I do think you have to be careful with him. The Nuggets have not really been attacking mismatches as much as you'd think. Like whenever Kevin Love's out there, they're not really going at him. They haven't really picked on Duncan Robinson enough. Like they've gone to those deep seal post-ups for Aaron Gordon on occasion, but you know, he was shooting a lot of threes. He was getting a lot of like back cuts. It wasn't like they were just like getting like running pick and rolls and getting switches. So yes, they probably go at him. I wouldn't play him like 25 minutes, but if he can get out there and spark a little run that keeps you in the game when Jokic is on the bench or something, like that could be super valuable. So that's the kind of role I would put him in. I wouldn't play him normal like 30 minutes. I wouldn't stretch him more than you probably need to, but they need something. Like Max Strus hasn't hit a 3 in like 10 years. You know, same Duncan Robinson. They're just kind of struggling right now. And so they need some shooting and scoring to try to keep up with the Nuggets, because the Nuggets offense is just too good. You can't get stops. Like they need to find a way to like keep pace.
And it's wild that the Nuggets are getting these wins to take this 3-1 lead, despite Jamal Murray not shooting particularly efficiently. Jokic did not shoot all that well in game 4. And it doesn't matter because Aaron Gordon's over here being like, oh, here's 27 on 11 of 15. In game 3, you have Christian Brown saying, here's 15 points in 15 minutes. Game 4, Bruce Brown came off the bench, gave him 20 plus points. I mean, everywhere you look on that Nuggets roster, they got guys who can give them buckets. Even with Michael Porter Jr. shooting negative 17% in this final series, it doesn't matter. It doesn't freaking matter. The Heat have to find somebody on their lineup tonight to help Jimmy and Bam if they want any prayer of keeping this alive, finding a way to win and heading back to Miami. And I just don't see it.
Oh yeah, dude. And man, look, Max Strus has been hot trash, bro, out there on the team. I can't remember what are the numbers when he's shooting on wide open threes. It's like 12%.
20% on wide 20%? Open threes.
Ridiculous, dog. No,
and he had a game where he hit like 6 of 7 or something like that.
Yeah, that was like game 2, the game they won.
Game 2, that was. But so like for him to be that bad and still have had that game, it just tells you that he like basically hasn't hit a 3 the rest of the series.
It's
which like that's how the Heat have gotten here. That's how they've gotten.
That's it.
It's just
that's it. And they have to score. Listen, the only time they've scored 100 points was game 2 when they won. That's it. That was the only time. The other one's 93, 94, 95. That's what they've scored in those other games. They scored 111 and won that game. They only won by 3, but that's the only time they won. They have to do that, man. Like Will said, that's how they got here, was shooting almost 50% from 3 in the Eastern Conference playoffs. It's the way they got here.
Game one,
keep
keep
getting
getting
away with it.
Game 1, Strus 0 for 10. Game 2, 4 for 10. Then 1 for 7. Then 0 for 4. So
good God.
Yeah, I mean, in 3 of the 4 games, he is 1 of 21.
Yikes. I can't remember who. I want to say maybe it was our pal Jamal from Bull Central. I saw somebody quote tweeted that Strus stat about shooting 20% on wide open threes in the finals and said something to the effect of, hey, maybe this brings that Max Strus free agent price tag down this summer and the Bulls could get him with the mid-level. Clearly a joke. Not happening. I will be curious to see, though. I mean, like, Max Strus's free agent value was skyrocketing with his performance for the Heat in this playoff run.
Yeah.
Maybe it comes a little bit if he finishes not with a bang, but with a flounder. All right, that's it. We are out of time for today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out if you haven't done so already. We greatly appreciate it. Helps us out a lot. Make sure you are subscribed to CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Sign up to become a diehard. allchgo.com/diehard. Get your tickets to come hang out with us in Las Vegas. Go to that CHGO Road Trips tab on the CHGO website. And don't forget to get Pops or your significant other or yourself that great Father's Day gift at the CHGO merch locker. Buy one, get one half off all of our CHGO tees at the CHGO merch locker now through June 18th. Today's the last day to place an order to arrive in time for Father's Day. Gentlemen, nice to talk to you again. We will be back in studio tomorrow with another live show, 4 p.m. Chicago time. We will talk to you then. In the meantime, Big Dave is on Twitter. Bow, BAWL Sports. Will the Goat Gottlieb, Will_Gottlieb. I'm Bulls_Pex. CHGO_Bulls is our Twitter handle. Thanks, as always, to our friend and our producer, Lawrence, rocking the controls today. Bringing the great, quick hitting Will Photoshop.
Yeah, the fake trades.
Speaking of shirts, happy anniversary to the Bulls' first championship team today.
Hey,
also, shout out and congrats to Vooch and his partner welcoming their baby yesterday, I believe. Bulls Nation continues to grow. There he is.
Shout out,
all right.
Shout out to Marcus Jordan and Larson Pippen with their new podcast.
What?
Yeah.
Oh God.
You guys have a good day.
Bye. You ready to be good. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
See you on the other side of that one.